The following video is not meant to upset anybody who might be upset by the video. It is not targeting any person. It is, I think, the important thing is to ask what problem is there and ask if there is a problem. And I think there is. And let us target that problem logically and try our best not to be emotional. So, this is my attempt at targeting the problem. I think today's education system urgently needs to change because of a few reasons. I've gone over this in extreme detail in a document, which I currently am not sure how to make it visible to the public, but I will only summarize a few points in this video, important points. So, education was started hundreds of years ago, um, and back then it was not about tests or exams. It was simply about let's educate our children so they make new discoveries and invent new things and advance technology and spread knowledge among their children and basically uh, co- cause the flow of knowledge forward in generations. This was a good motive. So, learning was not difficult back then. It was fun. People studied something because they wanted to learn it. And there was no such thing as test scores or SATs or entrance exams or any of these things that we have today. It's not as formalized and organized as it is now. But over the years, again, in my opinion, the goal education strayed from its initial goal. It became less about learning something new and more about passing exams and getting marks. Try and internalize this. The reason you go to school is not to learn. If you want to learn, you can use Google. You can use a library, you can use crossword. The reason most kids, I'm pretty sure all kids go to school is because that's what society says. My parents say go to school, my teachers say go to school, and school is online now, but the point is kids don't know why they're in school. All they know is my parents told me to come here, so I'm here. And everyone else is doing it, so um essentially you have a system where students are going to school and they're learning, right? But here's the issue: the reason kids study is to score marks. Marks are a way of manipulating the students to study. Whether they want to study is a different question. You might say, but my son loves mathematics. He studies mathematics a lot and does mathematics in his free time. Good for him. Again, I'm not targeting anybody. This is just, I'm trying to be honest. So, but then again, every child is different. You might enjoy chemistry a lot, but you might loathe mathematics. You might love Hindi, but you might really dislike physics. There are all kinds of combinations out there. Some kids love making videos. Some kids like drawing and painting. Some kids love reading books. Some kids love things that school doesn't even teach. But the problem is, these things are not taught at school. So, what's wrong with this? Well, essentially, you have a system where kids are being manipulated to study through marks. Because if you don't study, you don't score good marks. Unless you cheat, which is highly discouraged. And the problem with this is that they live their entire childhood with this notion of scoring marks. When you're in junior school, you enjoy it. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I counted till 10. Um, and then when you're in middle school, suddenly everyone is talking about A stars and A pluses. Look at that kid. He scored full marks. You only scored 8 out of 10. You know? So then kids suddenly realize, oh, wait, it's not about learning. I have to study. and then they totally forget about the learning. It's only to score marks. Now, I understand why this is done. Exams actually encourage kids to study because before an exam, you study extremely hard, even if you don't like a subject. Um, so, the wrong thing about this is that kids have different interests. Again, like I said, some kids love chemistry, some kids don't like Hindi. So, when you tell them to study for an exam, it's not exactly pleasant for the child to study for the exam the next day. Um, that's there. But then again, not everything in life is exactly how you want it, right? You cannot ask for something and immediately get it. So they are told that you study now and your future will be bright. Now, the problem with this is that throughout their childhood, from age 5 all the way to 18 till they graduate high school, they have gotten used to doing undesirable work to score marks. Now, what are marks? Marks are just numbers on a spreadsheet. Marks do not exist. A mark is not a new computer. A mark is not a new friend. It's just an imaginary number. It's just an idea. And when you graduate, all those marks, they're kind of left in the dust. I mean, they are useful because companies look for high marks, and so do colleges, obviously. But that's where the problem lies. It's not about learning, it's about marks. Um, Another important issue with education is how it's done. Most schools educate their students by telling them to sit in a chair in front of behind a desk and listen to the teacher for many hours. Obviously, there are breaks, but it's essentially boring for the child. And you cannot disagree with this, especially with the onset of online classes. It's become extremely boring. Now, I'm not complaining. I mean, what can they do? But here's the thing, few people realize that sitting for long periods is actually terrible for the body. And doing this for many hours in the classroom, it's completely flies under the radar. Um, and add this to the fact that you are extremely bored. Now, let us remember something. Children are not lifelong experts in a subject. They are they are volatile. Their attention is very volatile. They will be thinking about some movie they saw or some video game they played. Children love video games. They don't like to study. They study maybe because they want to score full marks and show others that they know a subject, or they just study because their parents told them to study. And that's where the problem lies. If we can find a way to make learning like a video game, we can solve the problem that education has thrown at us. Um, Again, this is my opinion. So I'm not saying that everyone should, be like this. This is just my opinion. Um, I was thinking, what about audiobooks? What if you attach it, but download an audiobook of your textbook, maybe, or of anything, and plug in your earphones and walk around your campus listening to your lesson? Then you get some physical activity while learning. And you might say, wait, that distracts the child because they're constantly looking elsewhere. That is true, but it's children are just not meant to be in one place for so long. And this brings up another important point, the ideal student. Ideal student has an infinite attention span. They do not talk among their peers, they listen to the teacher all the time. They score A star every test, and they have infinite memory. They download information like this. Does this sound familiar? Your phone can do this. The ideal student is a computer. And the problem with that, computers instantly solve math problems. Students, they need to be trained, they need to make mistakes, they need to ask a teacher for help. Computers instantly do it. We have technology today that can solve any textbook problem. All the answers can be solved by calculators and obviously online websites. Um, in other words, we are trying to train kids to do something computers can already excel at compared to them. I think what education should be aiming at is teaching kids to do things computers cannot do, like abstract thinking. In fact, abstract thinking unfortunately is discouraged at schools. Think like a textbook and everything will be okay. Think for yourself and connect things that are not there in the textbook and you will lose marks because that's not what the examiner wants. So this is just a small part of some improvements to education that can be made. I actually have an entire paper on this. So I'll see if I can find a way to upload it publicly so more people can see it, and maybe obviously give feedback and tell me what they think about this. Um, I'm thinking maybe sometime in the future I could talk to experts regarding this topic and show them my paper. It's a very long, detailed document on improving education and basically a new kind of education system. I don't know what to call it. I just called it future generation development. It's a long paper. Anyway, thank you for watching. And I know this was a kind of a monotonous video, but thank you for watching. And do share this with someone if you think they might find it interesting. Please give your feedback and tell me what you think about today's education. And obviously, I'm open to your opinions, your opposition, your feedback. Thank you.